I will be speaking about how I personally teach my students how to think, and also all those other 21st century skills that people have been demanding of our students. So how do we actually teach it? We talk a lot about 21st century skills. We talk a lot about how industry wants them. We talk a lot about how important they are. But how do we actually teach them, right? So there is a lot of gap between what the industry wants, what the theory is, and what we actually do at the university. Now, I would like all of you to watch the following video with me, and after which, I want all of you to think of a question that is related to the video. Can all of you do that? Yeah? Alright, let's watch the video together.
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the the Great Depression, passed the the tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act, which raised or lowered, raised tariffs in an effort to collect more revenue for the federal government. Did it work? Anyone know the effects? It did not work, and the United States sank deeper into the Great Depression. Today, we have a similar debate over this. Anyone know what this is, class? Anyone? Anyone seen this before? The Laffer Curve. Anyone know what this says? It says that at this point on the revenue curve, you will get exactly the same amount of revenue as at this point. This is very controversial. Does anyone know what Vice President Bush called this in 1980? Anyone? Something DOO economics. Voodoo economics.
All right. So do you have any questions? Anyone? Anyone? Anyone wants to give a question based on the video that you just watched? Yes, sir?
Is he a teacher?
Is he a teacher? Thank you. That's one question. Anybody else? Do you have any questions? Anyone? Yes, sir. Does he connect with the students? Thank you. That's another question. One more. Anybody? At the back here. Yes, sir.
Why doesn't he wait for the answer? That's anyone. That's great for the answer.
Alright, thank you. Why doesn't he wait for anybody to answer before he answers his own question, right? So ladies and gentlemen, you have just watched 1 minute of video, and I am sure a lot of us here have got a lot of questions in our head, yes? Yeah? Okay. Now, have you ever experienced this situation on either side of the room? Either as a student or either as a teacher? As a student, yes. As a teacher? Well, nobody wants to say yes, right? Of course, definitely. But in actual fact, this is still happening in this century, in the 21st century, right? We have been talking a lot about 21st century skills, 21st century teachers, 21st century students. But this is what a 21st century lecture hall looks like. Yeah? And the teachers that we face are the ones like in the video just now. So why does this still happen? It's 2018. It's 18 years into the 21st century. So we shouldn't be calling things 21st century anymore. We should be calling them what we need now. Skills of today. Right? Okay. So today we see this keep on occurring. This is from the World Economic Forum. This is what students need to have. Now, they say that you need to have literacy skills, critical thinking, creativity, curiosity, and things like that. Are they only needed now, in the 21st century? Were they not needed in the 20th century? What do you think? Right? Why are these called 21st century skills? Because in the 20th century classroom, we are very much focused about getting content delivered. We focus a lot on curriculum. We focus a lot on how much time we need to cover those curriculum. And we focus a lot on how much the students need to cover. Okay? That's why it is very much curriculums, time slotted, one size fits all, because we want everybody to have the same content knowledge just in case they need to use it at some point of time in their lives. Okay? And we give them a lot of textbooks to refer to. We give them a lot of summative tests to make sure that they get all those content. And we make them learn to make sure that they excel in school. Because if they don't excel in school, they will not get a job. When they don't get a job, they will fail miserably in life. The only thing that can save them is to get married to a rich man. Right. But in the 21st century, right now, in 2018, this is what we need. Because content is no longer the focus. This is the effect of disruptive technology. Technology has disrupted the need for content delivery. Content is there, accessible, available 24/7. Content even expands, like the galaxy is expanding. Therefore, as teachers, our focus is not content delivery anymore, but rather, how do we facilitate our students to use those content? That is why these are called 21st century skills, just because of internet. Internet has disrupted that. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the question is, how do we turn a classroom into a 21st century learning space? Alright? Now, this is how I would like to share with you what I do in my classes that will actually change how we do things, and not like the anyone professor. So I will briefly introduce you to student inquiry, collaborative teaching, project-based learning, and industry engagement. First, student inquiry. I have asked you to come up with a question after you were watching the video, right? Yeah. When we talk about inquiry-based learning, the misconception usually is that students must think to answer questions that teachers pose. Okay? But rather, inquiry-based learning requires the students to come up with the questions. And in my university, in the National Islamic University Malaysia, one of our prominent education professors, Professor Dr. Rosnani Hashim, she has come up with the Hikmah Pedagogy or Wisdom Pedagogy, in which inquiry begins with the stimulus, just like the video I've shown you. Stimulus can come in the form of text, stories, pictures, situations, yeah? So there is a stimulus and students respond to the stimulus with questions, just like you did, okay? And after we collect those questions, the students themselves will now go into what we call the philosophical inquiry. Students will debate about the questions. They will categorize the questions according to different themes, yeah? And then when they are done debating, arguing about both sides of the question, pros and cons, they will come up with a consensus. The consensus will be in the form of a certain value system that we follow, a certain solution to a problem that we are trying to solve. So this is how the Hikmah Pedagogy works. This is inquiry-based learning, and it fosters a lot of critical thinking and creative thinking in our students. Yeah, I've done this to a bunch of 14-year-olds in Malaysia. I went into the classroom, I introduced the pedagogy to the teacher, I used real students, And at the end of this section, the students raise their hands and say, can I ask a question that's not related to the lesson? I say, yes, of course, go ahead. And then the student asks, can you please come to our school again? Because this is the first time that we feel our brain was working, that we are actually learning something. So that was one of the impact of this pedagogy. And we did a research on the schools in Kuala Lumpur. And what we found that it increased the scores in essay tests, yeah? And students were more interested to learn math and science when this pedagogy was implemented in their classrooms. So that's student inquiry. Next, collaborative teaching. Before we get our students to collaborate, teachers need to collaborate first. How many of you in this room have ever worked with another faculty member teaching the same subject? Anybody? Yeah? Okay, excellent. So before we ask our students to do a lot of teamwork exercises, we have to show them, or we have to practice collaboration first, yeah? So what we do at our university is we do a inter-program collaboration. I teach instructional technology, so I get together with 3 of my other colleagues and we sat down and we looked at our courses together and we aligned our course learning outcomes and see how we can approach these learning outcomes through collaborative teaching. So we assign students the same project that they are working on, one big project, and they will be approaching it from various angles. So we have got 3 different groups of students working together for different courses, and they're working towards the same learning outcomes, achieving the learning outcomes. Next, we have collaboration with different programs in the faculty. So bachelor's degree in TESOL will work together with bachelor's degree in teaching of Arabic, will work together with bachelor's degree of counseling. So it's in the same faculty but different degree programs. So we have that collaboration as well, where students will work together on projects to achieve learning outcomes of their various courses. And we also do inter-faculty, yeah, where my faculty works with another faculty and their students will be working on the same assignments or same tasks to achieve again their own individual course learning outcomes, but working together on a project. Now this kind of collaboration requires a lot of planning and instructional design. This semester I am working with another university, in fact another 4 universities in Malaysia, where our students will be working on a national level project, and this is not an extracurricular program, but rather it is within the degree program itself. So instead of them coming to class and listening to lectures, they would have to collaborate with students from other universities in working towards a project to fulfill the course learning outcomes. Alright, next, I've been talking a lot about project-based learning. So yeah, part of collaborative teaching is project-based learning, and we do various projects for the different levels of engagement. So that's third. Finally, it is not enough that we collaborate among university lecturers, but I also do industrial collaboration. I engage real authors of books for my students to produce e-books for those authors, and I engage with Open Learning Malaysia, which is a learning management company, and also a MOOC provider, massive open online provider. So my students develop MOOC courses on Open Learning Portal, and Open Learning instructional designers would be the evaluators of my students' work. So they will be giving the grades, they will be giving feedback on my student work. Yeah? So that's how I do industrial collaboration. There are many other collaborations with the industry that I have done with my students, and they have benefited a lot. In fact, 3 of my students have been employed after they took my course with Open Learning. They are now learning designers at Open Learning. Ladies and gentlemen, again, you will see variations of this, the top 20 skills, the top 10 skills that we need in this century. As you can see, it is not much of a variation. There's complex problem solving, there's problem solving here, there's service orientation. It's just a matter of the ranking. Yeah, that is not important. What is important is we have to change the way that we deliver knowledge. We cannot focus on lecture like this anymore, like the anyone professor. That doesn't work, right? We know, but it still happens. That's why it is never boring to talk about stop lecturing, okay? My teacher, who is a prominent professor in Malaysia, always tells me that technology will never replace teachers. But teachers who don't use technology will be replaced. Yeah? I want to add a line to that. Teachers with heart, passion, and compassion will forever be in place. You will always have that one professor who you remember for the rest of your life just because he or she touched your hearts. Thank you.